Hello crafty friends, this is the Paper Chef here. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to cut out magnetic material using the Brother ScanNCut. Prior to this video, I have stamped a couple flowers here, and the flowers are from the Beautiful Day stamp set by Stampin' Up. Now, stick with me, there's a lot of steps. Okay, let's just get started right away with the pattern. I'm sorry, not yet, no, not yet pattern. I already said to stick with me. We're going to use scan, direct cut. We'll do pattern magnetic pieces in a minute. We're going to go to the machine, save the information. Let's go ahead and say start. Black and white recognition mode is fine for what we're doing because this image has well-defined lines. That's why I really like scanning it. I'm just scanning a few even though I only really need one image, because I want to make sure that I guess one good one to make my magnet. Okay, we're going to say okay. They all look great. So I only needed one, but they all look great. Oh heck, let's go ahead and cut them. When you get something this good where all your images are recognized, like rejoice, I'm going to go ahead and put a little outline distance around them using wherever my stylus went. Okay, we'll use my stylus. And I'm going to put an outline distance of 0.04. And I'm going to go ahead and ignore small object sizes. Let's just say any little stray bits. If not, I'll just grab them in the editing mode. So yeah, we have 4 flowers selected. Awesome, no little stray bits. Oh, I'm excited, I can cut these. But I'm not going to cut these, am I? I am going to remove this. Okay, remove this off the mat, and I'm going to lay this magnetic sheet. This is a vent cover. Okay, you can get these at Amazon, which I'll have a link below in the description to this exact brand, and then and you could just go, like, I got my husband to get me these at the home supply store. Okay, I'm laying this on the mat in the same place my paper was, and I'm just going to go ahead and say cut. We'll talk about all the settings for cutting magnets in just a minute while it's doing it. And then I'll let you actually see these settings. Now, my magnetic sheet is already slipping, so I am literally holding it in place while it's cutting. And really, I should use painter's tape, which I will for the next section. All I need is for one of these not to slip. Okay, let's just grab these off. They fall right off the sheet because the mats are not very sticky, but here's the point. Okay. And it'll come together in a second. You have magnets. You cut them out of the magnetic material. Now, this is the Beautiful Day stamp set. If you just tuned in, right? Beautiful Day stamp set by Stampin' Up. It's in our current catalog. If you need a catalog, let me know. Okay, here, I use Flirty Flamingo and Old Olive to color this. Now look how this is Whisper White cardstock, by the way, and I colored it with ink and the blends. Now I can just glue that right on there, right onto my magnet, and I have a beautiful, perfectly matched, see, refrigerator magnet of this beautiful flower. You can do it to the butterfly as well, and it just works really well cutting out shapes with magnetic material. Okay, and just again, before you glue it, test which side of the magnet you're supposed to be cutting. But in this case, I know it's that side is the magnetic side. But when you have magnets that are the same way, just test it. Okay, yay! Now you want to make your own magnet, say. So let's do this again. Okay, that was a magnetic vent cover. We'll talk about all the settings, and I'm using the same settings for both. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to this, or let's go back and say okay. Oh, I didn't mean to cut. I just mean to go back. Go back again, go back. Delete the scan data. No, I don't care about that anymore. Okay, we're going to do something else. We are going to make our own magnets we're going to make circles, okay? because we're going to create embellishments. Not now, but in a future tutorial, I'll show you what I do with all these magnetic circles, where I create these cute little embellishments that you can stick on your bulletin board, stick on your magnetic board. So to do that, I like using, and I just happen to like using it. I could use the same magnetic material I was using a minute ago, the magnetic vent cover for this, but I just happen to have a lot of these sheets that are 4x6. Okay, can you see it? 4x6 sticky sheets. They're for photos. Again, I'll have a link in the description. Please use my link. If you're going to purchase these anywhere on Amazon, it won't cost you any more to use my link, and it's how I sponsor my channel, how you get all this free cool stuff. All right, see that? I'm going to cut this right now. I'm going to cut it magnet side up. I'm putting it on my mat and just moving this away. And one thing I like to do is when I have thick material like this, or especially because my mats are not very sticky, I like to use painter's tape to stick the material down. And we'll just cut out 3 circles for the sake of this video. All right, now we're going to use, let's go back. We got to go home. Now we're going to pattern, okay? We're going to pattern, pattern, pattern. I always lose my stylus in the little short period of the tutorial. Here's my stylus. We're going to go to circles. I know that this is 4x6 material. I know that 3 circles will fit in a row. I'm going to go select the circle, and I'm going to make a circle 1 inch. I'm using the CM350. I have 600 images in my machine. Depending on which ScanNCut you have, your circle may be in a different place. Like my old machine only had 300 such images. Okay, I'm doing 1 inch by 1 inch circle. 1 inch circle. It's obviously just 1 inch. Okay, so set. If I were to uncheck this, I'd be making an oval, but I just want a circle. There it is. Let's go ahead and make 3 of those. I'm going to go into the editing mode. And in this resize option, I'm just going to make 3 of those. Only because I know 3 will fit. But I don't know where my magnetic sheet is right now. So one skill I want to teach you is something I always use a lot. It's called background scanning. And now I want to get into all the settings of how we do magnets, background scanning, and some important things. Okay, background scanning. First of all, you go to your settings, this little wrench on the front of your machine. It's usually set on this dark background. The problem with that is when you scan in a dark background, it's hard to see your shapes over the top of it. So this is it would come out black. So use this gray one, grayscale, so that your background that you scan in is lighter and you can move your shapes around over the top of it. That's your first setting. The second setting, go to page 2, is that you want a cut speed of 2. I've tried different cut speeds. Okay, like 3 is default. That you can tell what the machine's default settings are by when there's a square around the number. I use 2 because 3, it was like the blade couldn't get around the magnetic material very fast, and it kind of messed it up when I made it too fast. So you have thick material, slow your speed. Cut pressure. The default is 0, meaning it doesn't really need any pressure for paper. I leave it at the default when I'm doing designer series paper, when I'm doing whisper white cardstock, even when I'm doing thick Stampin' Up cardstock, I still use cut pressure of 0. But when I change materials, sometimes with thick materials, you change your cut pressure. And in this case, I'm just making it a 4. Okay, and it worked. And basically what I did is tested it to see what would work, and that's why I came up with the 4. And that's it. So those are the settings I'm changing in the machine. And then to cut magnetic material, one more setting, if you want to pause this and write it down, is that your blade depth is 10. I'm not using a special fancy deep cut blade. I'm using the regular blade. I'm using a blade depth of 10. See the little blade sticking out of the bottom now? It usually stays in its carrier. We'll work with the deep cut blade in a future video, but this, you don't need a deep cut blade for this. All right, my magnetic material is taped down. I'm scanning it in, background scan, so that we can put the circles on the magnetic sheet where we want them to go. So there's really a lot you're learning in this tutorial besides just cutting magnetic sheets. I hope you are learning some new cool ways to use your machine, and I hope your wheels are spinning. So there it is. So there are my circles, and I'm going to just go ahead and move them over the top of my material. And of course, you can just make, I don't know, like 12 will probably fit on here. So just put your circles on your magnetic sheet, and that way you know that they're cutting on there. And not too close together. They can even go over the tape a little bit. I'm happy with that because that's what I want to show you. I'm going to say okay, and I'm going to say cut. Using the settings I showed you. The goal here is to sort of cut through the magnetic material but not cut through that backing. Just like when I taught about cutting vinyl, you don't want to cut through the backing. Because if you cut too deep on your machine, then your machine, let's just say okay, I don't want to leave out any steps, unload the mat. Your machine, if you cut too deep through the magnetic material, you'll actually, cut a hole right through your mat. And these mats are super expensive, see? So now you're able to cut, you have this backing that stays on there. It might be a little clearer once I pull off these little circles. See, there's, my sticker's coming with it. That's okay because these are so old and I'm just finally getting a chance to use them up that I'm actually gonna put my own new stickiness on these. Anyway, but that's the sticker material, that's the magnetic material. Maybe you have magnetic business cards or something, maybe you have other magnetic material you want to cut. By the way, if you have a bunch of punches that are called punches for thick material, you can use punches too, but never use a regular Stampin' Up! Punch on magnetic material, you'll ruin it. But there are punches that they sell that are punches for thick material, which will also make your magnets. But with the ScanNCut, you can make magnets any size you want. Okay, so that was a lot to cover. In this tutorial, we covered how to cut magnetic material. We used two different types of material. To review, we used the vent cover magnetic material, which was this one. We cut it white side up, and I was able to then put a flower, a stamped image on it. I can adhere them together and I have a magnet. We also used the built-in patterns and shapes to find a circle to make your own embellishments, and that's what we did in this part. And the other thing I want to mention is that just before we wrap up is you might be thinking your wheels are spinning. I'll just stamp onto the magnetic sheet, okay? And I did that. I actually did that. And I'm still working on, here's my magnetic sheet. It's kind of like glossy. So what happened is I did that with the butterfly, trying all kinds of ink, and the ink's smeared when I stamped onto the magnetic sheet. But it did work. And I just now need to experiment with which kind of inks would work best. After I did that, I actually went and used my embossing gun, my embossing tool, heat tool, and I heat set those stamps. They didn't smear as much. Okay, I'll see if I can find it. They didn't smear as much, but they were very hard to color, and because it's glossy and the ink, it just didn't set well. So I do not recommend stamping directly on the magnets, but if I do find, here I can show you how it smeared. I'm not embarrassed to show you because I just do a lot of experimenting, and that's what happened. It just smeared, and this is me trying like 4 different kinds of ink. I tried Memento, I tried Archival, I tried pigment ink. The only thing I didn't try is StazOn, which I probably needed to try, but I can't find it. But anyway, that's a magnet. It's great because I made a magnet right directly by stamping onto my magnetic sheet. However, until I get the ink right, I'm not going to be doing a tutorial on that because it's better right now, in my opinion, to stamp onto paper and to then just cut the shape of your magnet and to make your embellishment that way. So thank you for watching. Please check out the links to my Brother ScanNCut classes, which will be in the description, and we'll see you in the next tutorial.